Hello, good morning, Nigeria. Welcome to Ways Breakfast, your front row seat to the issues shaping Nigerians' mornings and your future. We begin today with a troubling story out of Oyo State at Shaun High School in Ogbomoso. A teacher, Fatai Adegoke, reportedly died after confronting students gambling during school hours. The incident raises urgent questions about gambling culture in our schools, students' behavior, teacher protection, and what preventive policies and practical interventions can truly do. My name is Goodness Ide, and joining me today are Triumph Akiboye and Oluchi Omenka. Together, we'll ask the tough questions, peel back the layers, and bring your voices into the conversation. Let's dive right in and meet my Princess Diaries. Good morning. My Princess Diaries. Now, this is a princess. Princess Diaries. How are you doing?
Hi, Princess. Hi, Princess. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you doing
I'm
too?
doing very well. It's been a while I saw Oluchi.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
I've had a number of things on my plate, guys. A number. Just be praying for me. Anytime you think of me, just say a word of prayer.
Okay.
Okay, what about you, Triumph?
Yeah, I've been doing very well. I've been battling with cold. I think the weather, last week you were battling with cold. So this week, I think this week
It's your turn.
is my
And maybe
turn.
next week it's Oluchi's turn.
No. It
I've
must
had
end
my
with
fair
me.
share. But how are you doing, goodness?
I'm doing well, preparing
see
for lectures and everything. Like, I mean, having 8 courses to deal with in one semester. It's a whole
studious.
lot.
Most diligent.
I can
Imagine
Best
going
in
back to
academic.
school.
Well done.
All right, thank you so much, leaders. Let's dive right. All right, viewers, let's take a short break. And when we return, we'll check today's headline before tackling our hot topic that says gambling culture among students, preventive policies, and practical interventions. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. Remember to share your opinion with us in the comments section. And don't forget our phone lines are open. You can call us on 070-2500-7749 or 0701-4242-420. And if you haven't yet subscribed to our YouTube channel at Official Upgrade TV, click subscribe, like, share, and join us every morning right here on your Go TV channel 145. And yes, right now, we move to the newspaper headlines section, and we're going to be looking at news across the globe. As I have my Princess Diaries this morning, remind me to take us through the pages of the newspaper. We have the New Telegraph, the Punch, and the Guardian. Now start with Oluchi Omenka, Sophia the First.
Okay. Okay. So I'll start with The Guardian. The Guardian has interesting stories, as always. The headline screams 33 years later, hope deems for safer pipeline supplies of Jet A1 to airports. Above that, we also see Nest Oil to appoint forensic auditors to verify loan claims and bank statement. Reps laud Tinubu's intervention and payment of protesting contractors. Again, court adjourns suit on PDP convention. EFCC declares ex-governor Silva wanted for alleged fraud. Below that, we see fraud apathy threatening democracy, and this is a statement from Dixon Amechi. WHO declares 24 million living with diabetes in Africa. 2027, 70 CSOs demand enforcement of laws to curb vote buying. The last two stories read, FG urges calm as Soyinka and Northern groups reject Trump's genocide claims. And the last story, telecoms operators warn of regulatory conflict in digital economy bill. A number of the stories really ask the question, what is really going on? Let's start with the first one. Anytime any elected officer, right, or a leader in our country, anytime they get, scrutinized, especially for fraud by the EFCC, it always gets my attention because it makes me feel a bit at ease that people are doing their due diligence to ensure that perpetrators are not getting away with it. I saw a quote, I think earlier this morning or late last night, pardon me, that said that the prison is filled with poor people instead of the
rich
politicians and the people who are actually gambling. And that was a very direct statement. But sometimes if you look at it very critically, some people that get to suffer for their crimes and misconduct are people who do not have the money to buy their way through because of how our justice system has been. So we've had, questions and conversations coming up about how we can actually pay attention to these fraudulent politicians, as the case may be, and EFCC has been on the alert. I mean, a few months back, we saw this update that they put out, how that EFCC has been very, very active in bringing these people to book. So now, this is allegedly, though, it's not been very confirmed, but at least it's a right step in the conversation of finding out what the truth is. And away from that, another one that actually concerns me because it deals with our health would be what the WHO has to say. That's the World Health Organization. They have declared that 24 million people are living with diabetes in Africa. I'm sure this particular story excites goodness because she's all about health details and health updates. But this is a very troubling amount. Do you know what's even more troubling? Is the projection of it, because they also mentioned that by 2050, we should be getting to about 60 million naira if, I said naira, pardon me, I love money, 60 million if this trend continues. And diabetes is not that disease that you find only with elderly people.
Yeah,
people
even among
young people, teenagers,
newborn babies too.
Exactly, are beginning to fall short of this. So we have a lot to do in terms of our healthcare, in terms of our own precaution as well. What we have to do as individuals, we have to look at our lifestyle, our diet, what are we doing? Because if you're going to just rely solely on the healthcare system, you would be shooting yourself in the leg, because we know that system is still struggling. They're still trying to find their feet. So I think the best solution at this point is for individuals, young and old, to start reevaluating their lifestyle. Start thinking about what you're eating. Ask more questions about your health. At this point, I think people should start following health blogs even more, health consultants.
We even have dietitians that focus on what you eat.
Exactly.
So we could actually...
this number...
And for some people, one thing that I have also realized is that for some people, especially when it comes to young adults, try to take a look at your history, your family background.
Yes,
of course.
What are the things that happen in your family? What are the kind of diseases? What are the kind of infections
of genetics
that you have? You should not be the one, maybe if your parents, maybe they're suffering from diabetes and all of that, or maybe you've seen it in your mom, you've seen it in your grandma, and then you are the one exposing yourself to certain foods that you're not supposed to eat.
When you're at risk.
When you're at risk.
They are even 2 times at risk than their own parents.
So people should also learn to actually check their background, because this diabetes is something that you can actually get from, it's something that can be inside the gene. So I think that's one of the things that should be done.
And also sugary stuff, because we are the Gen Zs, we love, maltry food intakes like ice cream, all these soda drinks, soft drinks. So we should just cut down on all those things.
Yeah, that's all the story I have.
Now let's move to Triumph.
Okay, so let's take a look at what is trending in the New Telegraph papers. Okay, so to the screaming headline that we have here, the first one says, Trump's threat, U.S. may alter West Africa's security landscape. This is coming from ex-DSS director. Writers to this story says aid stoppage represents severe diplomatic ties downgrade. Boko Haram, ISWAP, banditry, existential threat to sovereignty. And then another writer, Trump threatens $1 billion legal action against BBC over January 6 speech edits. This is a story you would find in page 3 and page 5 of the New Telegraph newspaper. And above that, we have insecurity. APC governors beg traditional rulers to conjure gods of the land for protections. Another one here says the FCC declares ex-Bayelsa governor Silva wanted for alleged conspiracy fund conversion. And I think that was what Oluchi started with, which I am still going to give a little details. And Baba Ahmed, we need to be angry with our leaders because they've taken us for granted. And this is a foreign news. Ex-French President Sarkozy released from prison after 3 weeks. When are we, I don't want to say when are we going to have it like this in Nigeria, where you're going to hear that, okay, you know, so a president after leaving, well, let's not say that. And above that, Tier 1 banks suffer 545 billion naira capital erosion in 10-day market crisis. And below that, we have historical mistrust, land grabbing, others triggering violence in North Central. This is coming from presidency. Tinubu orders regional commissions to join fight against growing insecurity in the North Central. And this is something that we have been talking about. I think I was seeing this same headline in the Punch newspaper, where we've been having people dying because of people coming out to say that, okay, this ISWAP clash, and then people are dying. According to the news, there are about 50 people that have died from the ISWAP clash. Boko Haram, states like Kwara, Katsina has been affected. And it's so sad that we are having to deal with this. And it doesn't look like maybe we've been able to find a solution to it. One of the things that I get to talk about whenever I'm talking about insecurity as regards things that deals with organizations, like religious organizations, a party or a particular sect of people that are supposed to come together as one to be able to get things done, we have greater problems. We have problems that we're supposed to be dealing with as a country. However, in between each other, the inability for us to like live together, do things together, get results together, it saddens my heart that we are not able to do all of that, and everyone is having to be faced with the person living beside me, or the people that maybe another religion, another sect, another this, another that, and then we're having to deal with that, which is really quite sad. And to the story as regards, I don't like the way you just said it. You know, the politician.
I had to move away from it because it's not like it's a new thing. I had to just focus on one that
like
concerns us and that we can deal with.
I mean, I was looking at the details of the story, and I liked the fact that it wasn't just even Nigerians, the Nigerian police or the Nigerian EFCC alone that was able to, you know, pin this man down. According to the news that I read, I was seeing that not only our EFCC right now is on watch list in the United States, the Interpol, United Kingdom, Metropolitan Police, and everywhere. Let things like this, let it continue. And beyond that, let us see the end result. Because sometimes you hear the beginning of this matter, you don't see the ending. I mean, look at the ex-president that we were talking that I saw in the front page just now. Now you can see that this person has been released from prison. Let it be the same way. Let us see that justice is served to the end, so that people that are also perpetrators in crimes like this, they can see what will happen to them if they're eventually busted. Because before somebody, like a key political leader like that, before that kind of person is busted, that means they've been able to bypass every protocol, because it's not easy to just arrest a political leader. Yeah, he could not have anybody in the EFCC to save him. So it's just a whole lot. But I am glad that this really happened. So that's just all the stories that I have on the front page of the New Telegraph.
Thank you so much. Now let's look at what we have on the Punch story. Above the masthead, it says, Presidency highs NNPC shake up as oil output falters. And as well, besides that, we have 9 banks pockets 14.7 trillion naira interest income, and also over 100,000 policemen assigned to VIPs. And just right beside the masthead, we have $14 million probe. EFCC puts silver on FBI Interpol watch list. And also, as the Punch leads this morning with Trump threats, troops pound terror, bases in key states. I mean, yesterday I listed a whole lot of states, particularly in the northern region. And it has the kicker that says 86 rescued in air, grand assault in Borno, Kwara, Katsina, and Boko Haram and ISWAP clash leaves 50 dead. And also we have a beautiful, our Baba president, President Tinubu pushes a Siemens deal for fresh 4,000 megawatts power. And that story is on page 35 of the Punch newspaper. And below that, we have PDP convention, a Wiki block petitions NJC, and also motorists stranded as Oyo residents protest road extension. Then lastly, we have regarding gaming bill, Lagos sues National Assembly for contempt. Now let's look at the story that says over 100,000 policemen are assigned to VIPs. So we have currently 100,000 officers of the Nigerian police force that have been deployed to protect politicians and other very important persons, raising concerns over inadequate security coverage for ordinary citizens. As regard the new report, so I'm wondering if they are deploying 100,000 people, 100,000 police forces just to protect politicians and very important persons. What about the common persons in the society?
So we are left to protect each other.
We are
your
left
brother's
to
keeper.
Every man for him.
We are left to fight by ourselves, Abby.
Oh, I'm not fighting. Not at all. You will survive.
You will survive.
Hopefully. So continuing on the story, it says, published in November 2025 by the European Union Agency of Asylum, it was noted that the Nigerian police force has an estimated strength of 371,800 officers serving a population. Imagine, I want to take back that number, pardon me, 371,000 laying emphasis, 800 officers serving a population of about 236.7 million people. How?
Why not how? Who is going to go and enroll to see, let us not bother asking certain questions.
How
it
is
is
that?
expected. I'm not even
Is it
shocked
even
at
up
it.
to
Honestly,
quarter of-
I am not shocked at all. That 37,000 is it's a great number. We appreciate them. Because how do you want to put people in a sector that they don't even believe in?
And they even owe salaries or
And
arrears.
all of that.
That's
So they
that's
should
but
just
it's
be
even
grateful and move on.
tell you that the security of this country is in great risk, because imagine if we're having 371,800 officers just to protect 236.7
How many
million.
percent is that?
I don't understand.
Is
These
Nigeria
things are
really a
ridiculous.
joke?
And if you even check it per region, you'll be shocked that some regions do not even have as much as compared to some other developed places. Let's not mention the names, but we know the names. So you can imagine some other states that probably have lesser numbers and they're even more at risk.
And I'm sure Lagos will even have more, because we have more of this
Of course.
very important people and politicians
course.
residing in Lagos. So, however, it stated that the country's policing deficit has worsened by the diversion of a significant portion of available personnel to VIP protection rather than community policing and crime prevention. And I can see, you see now, most of the high people in the society, you see them having these police officers as escorts to wherever they are going to. Now, it's as if the duty of the police officers, their primary duty rather, is really shifted. What they do now is, I've seen a lot, even some of them, so you see some police officers serving as security personnel, being manned at several houses or so. And I'm beginning to wonder, what's their primary duty? To protect the lives of the citizens. So how come they are protecting just a little fragment?
The president or the governor is also a citizen. You know, he's also a citizen. But sometimes we see lots of videos online. You see the number of cars, the number of, I said cars, the number of vehicles that are following maybe a particular governor, a particular president. And then you are wondering that, what's going on? I mean, I saw one of not even a Nigerian president, I think the Tanzanian president. And I'm like, I can almost, you know, I lost count of the number of vehicles that are having to follow them on the day, they're having to escort them on the day of this particular visit or whatever it is that is going on. But they are also important to us. Nothing must happen to them. So let's see.
All right, that's what we can take on our newspaper this morning. And I hope you really take some things about it, being abreast of the current situation in the country. So we'd like to take a short break, and when we return, we'll get straight to the climax of today. Please stay tuned. Welcome back. Right now, we are now getting to the climax, and we're about to expatiate the hot topic this morning that says gambling culture among students, preventive policies, and practical intervention. And of course, this morning, we are shifting our focus to Oyo State Sean school, where we have they lost a particular teacher as a result of him trying to caution some students that were seen gambling. And today's story focuses on so many thoughts they never see in classrooms, students gambling during school hours, and a teacher losing his life while trying to stop it. According to published reports, we have Adegoke confronted a group of students gambling in class. The confrontation escalated violently, and the teacher later died from his injuries. And this morning, we are going to be asking several questions to see to what extent do teachers, need to be cautious concerning cautioning students when they are involved in such activities?
This particular story is not getting the kind of pause that I really expected from it. And I'm not going to just put my biases as one who has been in the educational sector. Because let's flip the story. If it was a teacher that had to beat a student, we have seen cases of students coming with their parents, coming with touts in the society to disgrace the teacher. And social media, of course, will take up the onus on them to say that, yes, you do not touch children anyhow. But this is an educator, a man of honor and repute, who was reportedly killed by a student because he wanted to correct. And what we're seeing is just, I'm going to firstly start from that point before we even go to the nitty-gritty. We're not seeing people lay a lot of claims to it. I saw some comments and quotes from people who were lashing on the Nigerian Union of Teachers. I think that's what they call the NUT, and saying that they're not doing their job, they're just all about getting money and all of that. I'm like, no, I don't think it's an NUT problem that made students
beat
gang up and beat a teacher.
Extent.
It's not an NUT problem. There are systemic problems, I agree, that we can always evaluate and want to bring points from. But this is more like an individualistic thing. This is bullying. You know, when we've been talking about, assault, and sometimes I've said that over time as well, it seems as though the only persons that are being focused on when it comes to assault is the female. We forget that men are also being assaulted. That is the case that I'm seeing playing out here. A teacher is reportedly killed. I didn't follow up the story as much to get certain details because I really wanted to know what was done. Were the students arrested? Are they on trial? What's going on with? Are they minors? Because if they are minors, we expect that they will be in juvie and all of that. But this is a very, very sad story. And there are a lot of questions to ask. Because what do you mean that a teacher cannot correct a student anymore? You know what it means to beat someone to death? It means it was premeditated. It was done out of anger. It wasn't just shoving. You know, sometimes when our parents are, growing up, when your parents are cautioning you and you're like, Mommy, stop now. And they're like, oh, you want to take the cane and beat me. You know, that one is just flying up at the spur of the moment. This was premeditated because the injuries he sustained, for it to have led to death means it was very severe. And young boys did that. So there are a lot of things we need to really uncover from this story. And let us see that, yes, we need to protect our students. Teachers also should be at, the helm of ensuring that discipline is very vital. But look at what has happened to a teacher. Lost his life. And what's the news saying?
I mean, when I saw this story, this is a very tragic story, a very sad news. However, I tried to look into, the state, the area, the place that this happened. We can see that it happened in Ogbomosho. And one of the things that really came to my mind is, I don't know if I am the only one, but I want to believe that there are people that in the course of your journey in life as you're growing, you must have experienced, especially if you were a lady, at a point. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to maybe go to some schools where you have students. I don't know if you've ever experienced high school student bullying you as an adult. You can imagine. I am sure that I am not the only one on this table. So I could, I can't relate to what this person, the man is no longer alive. However, I could relate to what high school bullying is.
Real life story.
Very terrible.
My teaching practice, which was a few years back, I told you I did education in school. In the school I was teaching, There were SS guys, SS2, SS3 guys who were much bigger than, I mean, look at me. You can imagine. These people literally would look at me with a threatening eye, threatening face every time I attempted to caution them. Some of the other the other students who were with me would tell me, see, Miss Precious,
Be careful.
be very careful. If this boy is going to meet you on the road,
Outside.
they will forget that you're wearing shirts and skirt and flat shoe. They will
No.
beat you. So yes, it's a thing.
So now take a look at this now. Everybody, as an adult, you've experienced it. Thank God I'm not the only one that's, experienced it or I've experienced it before. Now, it tells us that the state of discipline, I understand the teenage flair, like you said, that, who are you? What do you think you are? It happens at that age or at that age group. But the state of discipline, especially when it comes to a public school, because it feels like the students that are there, the children that are there, they are like, I don't care whoever you are. But I attended a boarding school, and I can tell you that if some students have their way to beat up their teachers, they are going to. And it brings me down to talk about the fact that, because this is beyond the raising, because if we talk about the raising, maybe with the parent and all of that, sometimes these kids, I don't understand. Am I going to pin it down to the teenage flair that is just because of however I'm feeling? Or you're going to tell me that these people are first-time offenders? I don't want to believe that these students are first-time offenders. Because if you're offended, if you're committing this type of crime for the first time, then that means that there's a lot wrong with you already. Whether you're committing it for the first time or you're committing it for the second time. If you look into this school, I am sure that this same children or students will be doing drugs.
Yeah.
If they are not doing drugs, you will find them constantly high. You will not always find them in classes.
They will be bullying
They
the other
will
students,
be bullying other
molesting
students,
vulnerable
molesting
students.
other vulnerable students. Now, you can imagine. Because this one is beyond discipline. The person that wants to discipline them, you killed the man.
He doesn't even have the ability to
He
discipline.
can't. He can't even discipline.
Okay, I want to open this floor more properly because we're talking about the students gambling and what they did, the heinous acts they carried out on the particular teacher. Now, let's see, for instance, I'm sure Adegoke, that's late Adegoke right now,
Sadly.
it would have been known in the school to be a very disciplinarian. You know, there are some teachers that in school, you know that this one, anytime a student faults or makes a fault like that, they send that particular set to a particular teacher that knows how to flog or beat. Peradventure, he could have been such person in that school, whereby a lot of students have been like, this man, one day like this, I'm going to deal with him seriously, you get? And now we have these boys, these young boys, because they are high school students, right? Now involving in such gambling practice. Let's open this floor. What would have actually led them to be indulging in gambling during school hours?
This question requires you to firstly breathe in and breathe out. But I want to answer that question, right? But let's even talk about what has changed in our time. You mentioned about teachers in our time that you really feared. I can give you an example of one. Mr. Idahosa, wherever you're listening to, if you're listening to this, he was the most feared teacher in my secondary school. And I don't think anybody had the premeditation to think of hurting him because we literally feared him. If you were going to be under Mr. Idahosa's skin, just know that your life cannot remain the same. So I think what has changed is actually the grooming of these young teenagers and the culture that these young teenagers have imbibed. Because if you look at our society, things change. Look at the decadence in moral behavior compared to our time. We're not so old, but go back a few years, you can see that things have changed. So what is going to be the resultant effect? Every other thing will be affected, including young people. We're trying to train young people to be bold and confident, but that assertiveness doesn't have balance anymore. That's why you will see young teenagers stand up to speak to their elders in ways that we never imagined.
We never tried.
We never imagined. Yes, we had rude people. Yes, we had people that that were not really cultured in their home, but there was still a little bit of training. There was still that little bit of fear that, this is my teacher, So the best you can do is to form. Do you get it? You dare not raise your hand to beat a teacher. So whatever is happening is because generally things have really messed up. The society doesn't even uphold certain values anymore. And you think that you will just get away with it. No, the people that will be affected are the younger generations. And that's what we're seeing. The fact that you're seeing people develop that such boldness, young people, trust me, it didn't just come out of anywhere. It came from the social media. It came from the people that they are following, from the influencers that they are following. It came from the viral stories that they are hearing from your celebrities. That's where it came from. It came from what they are seeing in their houses. It even came from some things that they saw the teachers do. So it wasn't just a random act. We caused it. Like, we all collectively caused what happened. So we can go ahead to say, oh, what caused gambling? But let's even look at the bigger picture. When you have served things in the society, when we do not uphold the necessary values that a society should uphold, just wait. It will catch up with you. And the way it will catch up with you is with the young.
And everybody will be touched.
It will reach everybody.
It will reach everybody. Because one thing that I have also, one thing that I have seen, I have observed, you find even more of these secondary school students. Sometimes I am questioning that they're actually secondary school students. Because look at the gadgets they're holding. Look at the way they are dressed.
Look at the way they are dressed. Of a computer, all these people that sell phone. The person put a video of a young student that came in to buy an iPhone 14 Pro Max. They were both on uniform.
You can just imagine. So the exposure and the allowance of people to do all these things. And these people sometimes, they even get to use all these things at schools. Let's take a look at this high school in Ogbomoso, for example. Yeah. It might not have even been a popular school. It even looks like a public school from what I'm saying. Because I don't want to believe that this would have...
structure.
This is definitely a public school. Now, if you take a look at this student, this particular student, by the time you go home to ask their parents what kind of students they are, you will know that they are terror to live with. Now, everybody will be touched for whatever thing happens. Beyond that, let's even focus on the fact that who exactly will not be able to enforce discipline in these people? Because if the young cannot allow their teachers to correct them, because it is not just about these people that is experiencing, it's not just this one that happened that turned to death that is experiencing this kind of thing. We all have experienced it. Now imagine teachers that are having to deal with these students on a daily basis. Because beyond that, not just this school, if you go to private school might not just look like this, but they are also oppressing their teachers. Yes. Not just the teachers, not just the students, even the parents of the students. They are all oppressing the teachers. And I am wondering who runs away from the person that is expected to save them. Your parents cannot save you. Your teacher cannot also save you. Then we are in for a whole lot as a country. We are in for a whole lot as a nation. Because these people are going to turn to become something else entirely.
If they have not already.
They are already. Now look at gambling. I'm not even going to lie. When I left Kwara State, Kwara State as a place is somewhere that there are certain moral decadence that is not allowed publicly. It's not allowed publicly. It's not accepted publicly. One of my culture shocks that the things that happened to me when I moved to Lagos. Not Lagos. Before I moved to Lagos, Ondo State, Akure, I saw a lot of gambling spots really open. It's something that you will not see like that in Ilorin because of the way they believe so much in their values, in their religion. You will not see it. It was a whole lot. I'm wondering that, I didn't even know what it was. But I was always seeing this shop, and then next to it, you will find POS, and I'm seeing a long... Because I'm wondering, everybody is allowed to do it. You know, Baba Ijebu, right? I just see it, and then I'm wondering that what's going on. Why is this? I used to tell my mom, whenever I call my mom, I would say, Mommy, come and see these things. These things are not, you can't find it like that in some parts. When I came to Lagos State too, it was the same thing. Now imagine this kind of students. Gambling is not for a particular, maybe for an adult. Anybody can just go to that place and buy whatever. You will gamble with your parents' money. You will gamble with the money that they gave you to eat. You will gamble with your parents' money. You will steal it from their purses. You are even gambling with your life.
Talk about this guy.
I even want to make mention of a statement. When you were talking, you made mention of during our own time that you dare not even carry out some actions against your teacher in your school. That probably you just tried to form. And I see reason. I could see some reasons in what you made mention of. Now, if you look at this situation of these young boys, number one, when we look at Ogbomoso, to be precise, we can't compare it to a very developed urban city, right? it's going to be classified as probably mid-urban or rural city. That's number one. So to tell you that the level of development in rural cities, like in urban cities like Lagos, right, it won't be as rapid as it is in the States. I'm coming somewhere.
All right.
No, that's one. That's one establishment. Two, if you look at the fact of what they've carried out towards these students gambling, we could also say there's an issue of raising the children. That means faulting the parents, because they can't get to this stage, acted like this in a school, and the parents haven't seen such, I'll put it, such
Precedence.
yes, decadence in them that, oh, this is what their children are involved, and to even tell you they're in hiding. So currently they have been
you will know that.
I
You will.
suspected that they wouldn't have caught them.
Can you imagine?
I'm wondering that if this situation, if you look at this, let's say we are more in a place like now. You talked about Kwara State where you were staying, and you made mention of the area there. I served in Kwara State, and I know about their religious, and even there are some certain dresses that you can't even
cannot dress in
wear
certain
outside.
ways.
So I feel, aside looking at, okay, a particular student is gambling, it could also be the society, the immediate society, also encouraging such acts. Now, you made mention of Ondo State, where you see a lot of places, gambling shops and everything. If a child grows up in that kind of environment, what kind of learning will it be instilled in the child? It's such a gambling act. So if we're looking at it, I'm saying that there are certain things that could have resulted to them gambling. One, it could be society where they're living. Peradventure, maybe that place. Even when I saw the picture of the school, planks here and there, you know that, okay, it's not a place where you even really get, even the quality of the education environment is not something to even appreciate or even commend about. Now, if you look at such area, one, you look at the environment. So you look at the kind of parents. We don't even know the kind of parents they have.
Because this one, they are even in hiding.
if the
I'm beginning
parents
to
are
ask
also
about the
gamblers?
parents. That's why I'm even saying that.
So
If we have not caught them now, where are the parents?
Too, or even more than that. And they have to pick such acts from it. Because we know when you made mention of we not trying it. Because of our parents. Our parents in a way also instilled discipline in us.
You into it.
You dare not go to school.
I'm going to
misbehave,
expose my brother.
slap
At a
your
point,
teacher and come back to school and come back home and say your parents will clap for you. That's not possible.
At a point, my brother used to, this PS4, PS5, whatever they used to play in all these shops. My
Yeah.
brother would go with his school uniform and go and play it. The day my mother caught him, he stopped. I'm sure by now he's like, I'm glad that they saved me on time, because nothing was tolerated in that sense. I know we might want to take a break now, but maybe when we come back, I'll talk more about something else related to this gambling.
All right, guys. So we'll take a break right now. And when we return, we'll continue with our conversation regarding the loss of Adegoke Fatai. Please stay tuned.
Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population, and with little or no meaningful engagement, lives a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Welcome back, our dear viewers, and today's focus is still on the topic that says gambling culture among students, preventive policies and practical interventions. And just before we went on break, I'm and my beautiful Barbies on this table. We're busy talking on the real issue concerning how young teenagers are being involved in this gambling act. And Triumph has said a whole lot that had to involve even the culture, the society. And you're about to say something, Oluchi, before we went on break.
In culture and where it started from, because let's even look at it. Gambling is one crime. I won't call it a crime, but it's one anomaly. Let me use that word, that we've just accepted without having to question as much. And I'll say this unapologetically. We see some gambling platforms. Of course, they will put the tag of below over 18 or from 18, just the way they do for alcohol. The one that is even more surprising is how they now have celebrities and influencers
Promoting their brand.
promoting gambling. I don't know how we want to paint it. I don't know the branding you want to do. Gambling is an anomaly. How do you know something that is an anomaly? Look at the charts. What character has been birthed from people who are involved in gambling? The statistics will show you how many people get into debt, get into some characters' behavioral patterns that are not normal. Why? Because of this gambling behavior that is very addictive. Another way to know something that is an anomaly, is when it becomes addictive. And that's one thing that gambling does. So I'm still very shocked why we see it as a very packaged brand activity. When we are seeing celebrities and influencers holding symposium, conferences.
Don't let me call names.
Well, that's why I'm just calling it like this, because we all know it. And guess what? Who are the people following these things? Who are the people on this social media? The young ones. When they see a celebrity that they look up to, putting out videos, being on billboards for these gambling sites, they'll see it as, oh, I'm sure the society even accepts this. But check out the pattern that follows. Addiction. People have spent their hard-earned money. People have wasted their children's life because they will keep them without sending them to school. Why? If I play this one, it will get the next money. I have personal experiences of someone that almost lost their sanity because of gambling. It is a cycle that never ends. It's like you are in a cycle. You just keep going on and on. That is not the kind of behavior we want to build. So my first cry right now is that why are we okay with something that is very abnormal?
Why are we so open?
Why are we so open with something that is so abnormal? Because look at what it has cost. I'm sure these guys were probably very addictive to it. Probably they were about to win something major and the teacher obstructed them.
Because why did they call them gamblers? They didn't even call them maybe drug addicts.
Exactly. For a gambler to want to react, it was from anger, and that anger is based on how much of that,
at the
that
point
addiction.
Of winning something.
You can see that one problem spirals into a number of things. That too short. What they call it? Too short. They call it too short bet, whatever. This is a menace.
Or maybe the man sees the paper or something like that. Maybe that was what happened.
Naira bets. You have a whole lot of gambling platforms.
The funny thing about, society endorsing this thing, I mean, sometimes I am opening a bank app. I just want to transfer money and go.
And
you are giving me advice to participate in bets. Now, you're asking me to bet. It's not like they're giving me an option. I must click on that link before I can go back. They're not saying that, okay, just cancel. I'm unable to cancel. I have to click on it, then go back. Please, what is it that we are doing as a country? Is it that we are about to just generally accept a society where we lack values and morals? Because at the end of the day, we are always complaining that, okay, we are not accepting the Western culture. Now we are accepting the Western culture. Are we now crying out to say that let's even abandon everything that we know about our values and morals? But for a long time before now, our values, our morals have kept us. They have protected us. And now that we are dropping them, we are seeing the results.
Yes.
I don't know the kind of cry that I want to cry to our society because I don't understand. You can see the results. You can see before it was not a popular thing to see people being addicted to drug. Now you will see things like, I did drug,
And it has even been normalized.
I did drug, I don't understand.
And even this act too, I'm going to add to this, is that it's going to create this lazy attitude towards the young ones. Because if I'm to gamble and at my first shot, I was able to win a certain amount, of course I want to do that. I won't even want to work or even stress myself. You get, so it's going to create, there's that gap in the society where we will now start seeing, let's say in few years' time, we start seeing young ones not even ready to work. All what they want to do is gambling, to get money, or looking for a quicker method of getting money, the easy method of getting money. I mean, there was one year where we have MMM and everything that came out, and people lost their money to it. So it's going to create the attitude of wanting to get sharp money immediately, which in the end is going to also cause more corrupt practices.
There's something
in the
that
country.
I even want us to quickly touch on before we are done, and I want to go back to these students and teenagers and the way they think. If you remember that, I don't know if it happened to you, you made an example, excuse me,
it's okay,
of when your brother.
Yeah.
I don't know if all of us, or if, the male child, when you're growing or when you're raising the male child, extra care is required. I don't know, maybe because I have not given birth to a child before, but from my observation, from different things that I have seen, when you're raising a male child,
they tend to derail a lot.
You need to put extra care, because the kind of effrontery, the kind of courage, the kind of what a woman will have is different from what a man will have. Now, every child, every teenager, both male, both female, especially with the male, they have the tendency to want to try out things at their age. That is why if we call 10 parents, they will tell you that at some point they had to be praying for their male children, because they were exhibiting different kind of behavior. You will find them at the snooker station. You will find them PS4, PS5 that you mentioned. They are the one that is going to be, they're going to be picking up things from their parents, purses and all of that. Now, it now brings me to really bother on how do we even take care of these people? Because then, for example, there was somebody I know, she was always praying to God that, God, please help this my son, because I am not even where this child is going to. Because if you're exhibiting this kind of behavior at home, what will you do when you get outside? We have seen one. We have seen others. For some parents, it's not that they are not trying their best. And that is something that I really wanted to say. I understand that, okay, for some people. But for some parents, I have seen that some are really trying their best. For some children, it feels like they don't even want to hear, especially this teenage flair of a thing. And we cannot take away the teenage flair, because
we're wrapping up soon. So I'd also like to mention this thing that has to, I think this one will be for schools specifically.
Yeah.
Schools tolerate some bad behavior.
Maybe
because they feel like, let's just have the students around. When you, if I'm an administrator, right, there are some behavior that don't even bother tolerating. Because if you do, the end point of it would be so fatal that you can't even manage.
Bad eggs will even corrupt the good ones.
I've seen cases where you have seen a student do, I don't know, I think expulsion these days is not even as strong as it used to be before. Because for these students who have done this thing, there was precedence. They had done something smaller.
Yes.
You had noticed it. There were teachers in class that
even
had noticed
their behaviors.
Their fellow classmates would have reported. So when you had seen all this pattern adding up, what did you do? Did you wait until your fellow teacher died before thinking of the next call to action? Me, I'm going to say for schools at this point and administrators, let us be on the alert. At this point, don't bother putting some students in school. If you notice that this maladaptive behavior is beginning to turn to something else, go to juvie, go to a rehab center.
Or go.
Let us do something to your mindset. When you are better, we'll put you in. Because at this point, it is a matter of life and death. This is no longer trying to encourage and saying, be a good child, be like somewhere. And so, no, they are killing people. So if somebody is involved in killing someone now, let's put them in where they can be better. Rehab, before we bring them back.
All right, so we can't take so much conversation, but I even just want to make some points on what Charles said. They should go home. If they should go, who is going to train them? School is a place of
should
learning.
go.
They will even create.
They have to go to
No,
another
chaos.
place.
They
They
where
cannot
can be
stay with
properly
where every
trained.
other person is staying because you are putting us at risk. You're putting everybody at risk. Is it that you go home or you go to the
You
places
can't go
that she
home. You
advised?
will kill the parents.
Even
what
the
I'm
parents
saying
that are at
now.
home because they can't even talk to you and you
even
will
the society
listen.
will be at more risk because you'll be idle as at that point. You're at home.
So it's rehab centers, juvie.
All right. So at the end of the day, the loss of Fatai Adegoke is more than a tragic headline. It is a wake-up call for our education system, our communities, and our society. Gambling among students is not simply a youthful indiscretion. It is a symptom of deeper issues: weak supervision, behavioral erosion, value deficit, and institutional vulnerability. But we do not have to watch the cycle repeat. Through stronger school monitoring, like Oluchat says, embedded moral and financial education, engaged parents and community, just like Triumph had elaborated, and firm protections for teachers, we can turn the tide. So here's the question for all of us. Can we build school where learning and respect, not gambling and violence, define the culture? Until then, the conversation and our responsibility continues. Please stay and watch our space tomorrow. Bye.